welcome to episode 88 of the Unwrapped Leader Podcast, where we get raw, real, and relevant in the new network marketing and helping you become a gifted leader in your business. My name is Teisha Dorianna from Alberta, Canada, and today's episode is all about discovering your brand. I think as we dive into this first quarter of the new year, so many people are looking on how to stand out, how they're going to make this their best year yet in their network marketing business. And people hear about branding, people hear like how they need to share in line with their brand, but there's still people stuck on, well, what is my brand? What does that really mean? How do I discover it? So I thought this would be a good episode to dive into for this quarter. And also, I just got home from my annual social retail conference this past weekend. I came home with a cold, so if I sound a little congested or on the sick side, that is why. I'm not feeling too hot right now, but still wanted to come on today, give you guys some value. I am actually recording this. The day you're listening is the day I recorded it, probably like a few hours before posting I recorded this. So this is all really relevant to all of you, and just want to show up here and continue to pour value into you guys. And so today I thought branding would be an excellent topic, as we love to talk about branding, but we talk about a lot of different aspects. So I really want to speak to those who are maybe struggling with their brand and struggling with what their message is and who they're really trying to reach. Okay, so let's first talk about the definition of branding. What even does that mean? So branding is essentially the process of creating a unique identity and an image for a product, service, company, or an individual in the minds of consumers. And the reason that we need a brand in the network marketing space today is because this is what distinguishes you from other competitors, and it communicates your values, your personality, and everything you have to offer to your target audience. And it's what sets you apart. It's what makes you memorable. And so this is what's actually going to help guide your ideal client straight to you. Okay. So we're going to get started with 4 tips to discovering your brand. And then I'm going to give you guys 4 tips for actually utilizing your brand on social media. So I hope this is helpful. If you guys are watching right now, I'd love if you guys gave this video a thumbs up right now. And of course, share it with your teams if you think that this would be of value to them. So let's dive in here. So 4 tips to discovering your brand. To get started, I want you guys to know that a brand is not just about a logo or a color. I think so many people get caught up in this where they think, I need to have a special logo, I need to have a special color. It's not about those things. Those things obviously can help make you stand out and help make a good representation of who you are. But at the end of the day, what I want to stick in your minds is that your brand is about authenticity, right? You want to know, like, what lights you up? How can you answer that question? What lights you up? What makes you different from the rest? Because at the end of the day, it's not a logo and it's not a color that's the brand. It is you. You are the brand. Your brand is an extension of you. And you could actually go look at some of your favorite people that you follow on social media. Maybe they're influencers, people who do something similar to you. And go take a look at just the visuals, how they speak, what they stand for, right? And write down some of the things that inspire you, because that will inspire you when you're making your brand. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to you, because you are the brand, right? So you want to embrace what makes you, you. Okay. So let's get into tip number 1. You could even look at these as steps. Okay. So the first thing I teach people when they're looking to discover their brand, and this is completely from scratch. And if you feel like you maybe have a bit of a brand, but you're not sure, just forget everything you know and just try these 4 steps and see what comes of it. Okay. So number 1 is to write down absolutely everything that brings you joy in life, anything that you like to talk about. It could be your talents, your passions, your hobbies. And I want you to aim for over 30 words. Okay. So once you have 30, just get a line sheet of paper, write down at least 30 things that bring you joy in life, and just anything that comes to mind. There's no stupid thing to write, just everything that comes to mind. What brings you joy? It could be a feeling that you experience. It could be a very specific place. It could be something that you love to do. It could even be your job, right? Just what are the things that bring you joy? Now, once you have that list of 30 plus words, what you want to start doing is grouping similar ideas to create what we call one pillar. And you're looking for around 3 to 5 pillars in this. Okay. So one pillar would be like you're categorizing very similar things, like maybe You have like, oh, it makes me, what brings me joy is like cooking really fun meals at home. Okay, let's take that. Now, what brings me joy is I really like going to the gym. Let's bring that together, right? And maybe that's going to create a pillar called health, right? So you're going to come up with a word to kind of categorize that pillar. So start kind of like, what I like to do is take like different highlighter colors. And so everything that would maybe fall into the health pillar, you're highlighting in green. Okay. And so just kind of start to find comparisons amongst the words you jotted down and things that would maybe fall into one. Okay. You don't want the pillar to be too broad, because if it's too broad, then content can be a bit challenging. Like health is, I would say health is kind of broad. It totally depends on obviously like your business and what you do. Like if health is your life, then maybe you could split up health into, more subcategories. However, you got to kind of figure that out based on the words that you put down on that paper. Okay. So start categorizing everything. Now, keep in mind, at least one of your pillars should be in line with your industry. So if you are selling health and wellness products, you will probably have a pillar called health and wellness. If you're really focused on building your organization, sharing your business opportunity, growing your team, maybe one of your pillars is business or leadership or mindset or whatever it is that you love to talk about, whatever was a part of your journey when you got started in this business, right? So start categorizing them, make one in line with your industry, okay? Now, here's a couple ideas of just things that I've seen people jot down during this step is mom life, being a mom. Another one could be sports. Another one could be health and wellness. One might be baking. One might be farm living. One might be that you're a mental health advocate. Just everything like titles that you take on or hobbies that you do, talents that you have, things that make you feel good. Okay. And start kind of coming up with some pillars for all of these words. Now, tip number 3 is that you are going to identify your values. What do you stand for? Your values are what's going to be the backbone of your brand. And whether it's transparency, community, innovation, being disruptive, honesty, think of all the things that you value and write all those down. Because what you're going to do is you need to remember what those values are so that they shine through in every single post and interaction that you make and have. They need to be in line because that's what's going to help your audience build that trust with you, is when you have values that are in line with every single thing that you're putting out there. Okay. So write down that list of values. And again, try and break it down into maybe 4 or 5. Like if you have a million things, it's like, okay, can I categorize these, right? Figure out what it is. And you could even search Google or Chat GPT, what are some values a lot of people have in their business and see what stands out to you. So, this way it kind of helps just kind of get a memory jogger going. And if you're feeling like you're drawing a complete blank, like use Google, use Chat GPT, see what really stands out to you. And then tip number 4, when it comes to discovering your brand that I have, this is the final tip, is to define your unique selling point. So this is what makes you stand out amongst the thousands of other people doing the exact same thing as you, right? Because first you have your company, and in your company, you're all kind of under the same bridge selling the same products, and you're all sharing the same business opportunity. And then you have the industry, the network marketing industry, which is ginormous. There's millions of people. And all those people are selling a product and selling a business opportunity. So what makes you different? It's going to be your personal story. It's going to be maybe a unique trait that you have about you. Or maybe it's like a special service you provide, right? What makes you unique? What do you do differently? And if you're sitting there unsure of what that unique selling point is, maybe you need to come up with something that's going to make you stand out from the crowd, right? Maybe you haven't hit that yet, but you need a reason for people to do business with you, because no matter how amazing your products are, trust me when I say your customers and your clients are returning to you because you're you. It's not for your products. Sure, sometimes it might be, but majority of the time it is for you. It's because maybe you deliver excellent customer service. But even if you do that, there's probably a million people who deliver excellent customer service. So how do you do that, right? Like dig deeper into what it is that really makes you unique. Okay. So your unique selling point, that is your secret sauce. So I want you to think about what that may be. And if you have some ideas of what yours is, I think it would actually be a great idea if you're listening on YouTube, or even Spotify or Apple, if you could leave a comment or a review just with what your unique selling point is, because I think it would be great for just anyone listening to this to go through the thread of comments or reviews of this episode to kind of see like, what are some things that people are saying, and it might just trigger that for you, what your unique selling point really is. Okay. So that is tip number 4. So just to recap, the 4 tips to discovering your brand is 1, write everything down that brings you joy. Number 2 is start grouping similar ideas into one pillar. And then tip 3 is to identify your values. Tip 4 is to define your unique selling point. Now let's move into 4 tips for utilizing your brand on social media. So once you've kind of discovered what your values are, what you love to talk about, what your brand pillars are, you now need to unleash its power on social media. This is where all the magic happens. This is where your business is going to grow, right? Because it's great to have a brand, but it's like, if you don't actually put out content, valuable content that your clients and your audience can engage with, then nothing's really going to come of it, right? We need to utilize that brand. So, tip number 1 is to take your pillars and you need to break them down in how you can serve people. Make sure that your brand values are all consistent with your voice and your visuals that you put out into the world. So whether that be a live video, you're talking on your stories, you're putting out a post, you're putting out a reel, make sure that everything is in line with your values. Okay. And then you want to break it down on how you can serve people. And in tip 4, I'm going to give you some ideas for this, but what you can actually do is what an exercise that I tell my audience to do is, like, once you have your pillars, I want you guys to actually write your story behind every pillar. So if you have a health and wellness pillar, what is your story with health and wellness? Why is this a pillar for you? Maybe it's something that you struggled with in the past with your health and you started using X, Y, and Z. Maybe it's a product, maybe it's a service, and you have been able to come out on top. And this is, that's your transformation story. It's like finding a transformation story with every single pillar that you have. Okay. So that's how you're going to kind of break down how you're going to serve people. And I'm going to give you ideas on how to serve people, like I said in tip 4, but start with maybe talking and sharing a story that really transformed you in that area and category. Okay. And then tip number 2 is to build trust and recognition with your brand. So from your profile picture to your content, it's nice to maintain a consistent visual style. So, sure, I could be talking about sort of like logo, colors, fonts, that kind of stuff here. Again, I still think this is like the least important part of having a brand. But I will say that this is something that will build trust and recognition, like having the same profile picture across all your platforms. If there's a certain color that, you think is like really strong rooted, you guys all know that mine is pink. I'm the pink girl. Everything I post is pink, right? I love wearing pink. I like posting pink. Pink is life. But if you guys have multiple colors or whatever, like, have that consistency across platforms. So when people see, say, an image you put out or something, they'll be like, oh, that's Teisha's picture. Oh, that's Teisha's quote. Like, people just get, people will start to recognize the stuff you're putting out, right? Like, think of it as your virtual storefront. This is what makes it inviting. Okay. So have that consistency in just like all the visuals across all the platforms that you're on. Okay. Tip number 3 is to know your audience. So really know who you're speaking to, and you need to understand their pain points, their desires, and their language. So, what are the things that your ideal client struggles with, and how do you help them with it? It's good to talk about the things that you could help people with, but when you can identify the pain points first, that's going to speak to someone more than just saying, like, I have a product that's going to help with this. Like, you need stories. You need to identify pain points. Like, for example, you have a product for energy. Obviously, your ideal client is someone who struggles with energy. But what does struggling with energy actually look like? Does that look like not being able to make a nice, healthy dinner for your family? Does that look like having to take a nap midday because you literally just can't? Like, those are the pain points. So those are the things people struggle with, is the real life stories. It's not that they struggle with lacking energy. They struggle with the everyday things, right? So identify the pain points, identify their desires, the things that they love, right? They love being able to have a productive day. They love being able to have enough energy to last them all day and not take a nap. Those are their desires. And then the language. What is the type of language that they use? Are you in a certain age category that you're really targeting? Like, for example, if you sold like menopause products, you're probably not talking to people in their 20s and 30s, right? You have to figure out what your audience is and narrow down what that looks like, right? Tailor your content to resonate with them. It's not about reaching everybody, okay? It's about connecting deeply with your ideal client. Because if you're talking to everybody, you've probably heard this before. If you're talking to everybody, then you're really talking to nobody. You're not going to reach anybody. You need to be specific on who you want to help. And I know that can look different depending on maybe the product or service you're offering, but whatever one you're choosing to talk about, don't just be like, okay, I'm helping, these are the people I'm helping, but I got other stuff for all these other people. Like, just focus on one key category at a time. I promise it's going to serve you so much better if you have that focus. Okay. Now, tip number 4, this is where I want to give you some ideas on how you could serve your audience. So like I said, you want to have those transformation stories for each of those pillars. Now, here's some ways you could serve. I want you guys to think of the word serve as an acronym that represents different ways that we can serve people. Okay. So let's go over the word serve. Number 1, or the first letter, is S. Serve can be you're solving a problem. Talk about how you're solving a problem. How do you do that? You identify pain points, right? Talk about the solution. What is the solution that you have to give them? Is it a product or service that you offer? And last is social proof. Who is using this product and has a transformation story that you can share? Is it a customer of yours? Is it a teammate of yours? Is it just someone in your company that's given a testimonial? You need that social proof. So that is the first S in serve. Okay. Next is the E. You want to do 4, your content should be doing, I say, 1 of 4 things, but if you could hit multiple, that's even better. Educate, entertain, empower, and engage. Personally, I think all your stuff should be engaging. You should be prompting engagement on everything, but your content should educate, your content should entertain, or your content should be empowering people, and they should always be engaging people. Okay. Now, the R. Your content should be raw, real, and relevant. That's what we talk about here at the Unwrapped Leader, right? We like to be raw, real, and relevant with you guys. Put that stuff in your content. That's vulnerability. That's what creates trust. And another one we have for R is revealing behind the scenes. Behind the scenes is fun. People get to see like the day-to-day, you putting things together. That's what makes you trustworthy. That's what makes you a human, right? Show people that. Now, the V stands for vision, values, and vulnerability, which we kind of talked about there. But again, identifying your values, really letting that shine through all of your content, letting that shine through everything that you're saying and doing. Your vision, right? Having like that end goal and what you really want to see for you and your team and just, yourself in this industry, and being vulnerable always. I shouldn't say always, but not being scared to be vulnerable, And then E, the final E, we put embrace your quirks. The things that maybe you shy away about, these are the things that make you you. This goes back to your unique selling point. Maybe you do have a crazy laugh. Maybe you do have a funny smile. Maybe it's something you say when you're talking. Maybe you speak really fast. I used to speak really fast, and sometimes I do when I get passionate, right? Like, that's me. But embrace those quirks about yourself, no matter what it is. Like, those are the things that make you you, and that's what people remember you for. Some people will love it, some people will hate it, but it's part of your unique selling point. Okay. So just to recap, the 4 tips for utilizing your brand on social media. Number 1 is breaking down those pillars on how you could serve people by creating a transformation story. Tip number 2 is building that trust and recognition with your brand, being consistent across all the platforms. Tip number 3 is knowing your audience, who you're really speaking to, by identifying their pain points, desires, languages. And tip number 4 is how you can serve people with the acronym SERVE. So that is my tips for you guys today. I would absolutely love your guys' feedback. If you haven't already, please like the video, leave us a comment, share with your teams if you think this would be useful to them. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, would so appreciate a 5-star review as it helps us grow. And also, please subscribe on YouTube and hit that bell so that you guys never miss out on an episode if you haven't already done that. So thank you guys so much for watching. I just want you guys to remember, your brand is the story that you tell the world. So you want to make it compelling and you want to make it uniquely yours. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week on the Unwrapped Leader Podcast. Bye, guys.